Hey guys, Tisha here, and we are back with another Becoming Sister Wives review. I figured why sit at home and wait to find out from the dealership what's going wrong with my vehicle? I might as well read another chapter. This is Christine's chapter 7, and I'm very interested in hearing what she has to say because out of all of the wives, she seems to be the most honest. What she says in the book has happened to be what we currently see. Please bear with my voice. It is extra low. It's always low, but it's even lower because I went to a game night and had a lot of fun. And yeah, so the voice is coming in and out. But we're going to do this. I asked you all how you felt about the long chapters and the commentary. And it seems like there's a mutual consensus that as long as we're reading the book and we're talking about it, doesn't matter if it's broken up or not. So for now, I'm going to continue to read. Let's go. The first year of Cody and my marriage. Look, I'm already jacking up stuff already. The word is mine. Jacked it up. I realized that I hardly knew the man I married. I don't mean to say that I didn't love him, but he felt like a stranger to me, and I realized that I was completely unsure where I stood with him, which was a terrible and unsettling feeling. I wasn't entirely unaware of the struggles I might face. Growing up around so many polygamous families, I was well aware of the problems and the pitfalls, the anger and the jealousy, as well as the daily organizational and financial struggles. I knew that this situation I was entering was going to be challenging. I'd never seen my parents fight, but I did realize that once they got divorced, their marriage must have been troubled for a long time. But in our family, if you had a problem, you just put on a smile and didn't let it show, which is part of the problem with a lot of these families, especially with the women who became a part of Cody's family, because they always suppressed what they were feeling. I never saw my parents try to work through their differences until it was too late. But when I married Cody, I ignored any potential problems, put on my rose-tinted glasses and cheerful disposition, and imagined that when I entered a plural marriage, I wouldn't experience those issues other people face. If I was naive, it was because I chose to be. I do believe that Christine was naive, but I also feel like Cody did give a representation of himself. Christine got the fun-loving Cody, which isn't really Cody. That's not who Cody naturally is. And I don't quite understand how Cody manages to be the chameleon-like person he is, because how is it that you present differently with each woman if at your core you're this one person? I don't get it. Not long after I married Cody, I stopped being able to cover up my problems with a smile. I was nervous and insecure. I felt overwhelmed by my situation. Janelle had just given birth to Logan. At first, the four of us, Mary, Janelle, Cody, and myself, couldn't agree on how to organize our household and raise the first child. Naturally, Cody doted on Logan, but this made me feel insignificant. How could I compete with a firstborn son? Wow. So even a child at times made Christine insecure. For the first 3 months of my marriage, I lived in the house with my sister wives. It was a strange transition. However, despite some of my own struggles, I felt that the four of us were developing a solid family identity. We'd often eat meals together around a small kitchen table. I had grown up in a large family filled with kids. I thought it was really, really strange to be sitting around a table with only adults for company. Eventually, I realized that I needed to develop and deepen my relationship with Cody. I still didn't know him very well. Although I always idolized the notion of living with sister wives, it became clear that I required a little more separation for time. Plus, I'm sure my sister wives were getting sick of living with a couple of newlyweds, so I got my own cottage. I loved that cottage. Cody and I needed some time together in our own world. We barely had a moment alone since we married. 3 months into our marriage, I became pregnant. Between my insecurities and my hormones, I was a wreck. For the first time in my life, I was apart from my parents and my friends. I was living in Wyoming, which was cold, bleak, and far away from home. I was lonely and worried about my marriage. I tried talking about my problems with Cody, but I didn't know how to express myself. I didn't have the vocabulary for telling him what was wrong. Cody didn't know how to listen to me. During our first fight, which was predictably about the fact that thought he divided his time unfairly between his wives. He just put his hands in his head and covered his face. Okay, so as early on as their first year of marriage, Christine felt that Cody was being unfair with his time, which we know is not wrong because Janelle told us that Cody would spend more time with Mary. So he obviously wasn't being fair with his time. This is not something that Christine is pulling out of thin air. It was as if he was trying to make it all go away. He didn't have the emotional tools to deal with the needs of 3 wives. I knew that he felt he had married me too soon. The 4 of us were too young to deal with the situation we created. Not long after Logan was born, Janelle went back to work. She was the most employable member of our family and was able to get the best jobs. While she worked, I looked after Logan, which was a joy and a delight. I loved mothering him. It was the highlight of the first difficult year. Cody likes to say that I was instrumental in Logan's first year. Since Mary and Janelle were still struggling with each other, I was able to bring joy into his world. I created a sort of truce between my sister wives, which made the house more peaceful and loving for Logan. Logan is certainly the child of all 3 mothers. Mary provided constructive discipline, Janelle a safe and comfortable place, and despite my own problems, I showed him as much happiness and joy as I could. I played with him as much as possible, teaching him both silly and instructional games. While I enjoyed taking care of Logan, I spent the majority of my first pregnancy down in the dumps. I had lost sight of who I was. Like Janelle, when I married Cody and entered an already established family, I lost my identity. I was no longer my bubbly, energetic self. I couldn't look at the bright side because I was unable to see the bright side. Even though I had strong testimony in plural marriage and always wanted to enter the family as a 3rd wife, it was harder than I thought it would be because once again, this branch of the plural belief. I'm not going to say all of them because we know that there are different forms. This particular branch has not provided these ladies with the tools to have a successful marriage. It has not provided the men, and if they did, they should have. Once Cody was having problems with the first and the second, they should have suggested certain things before they went into this 3rd. I struggle with my disappointment and frustration that something I thought would be perfect, celestial even, was actually hard work and brought about a certain amount of pain. Before marrying Cody, I honestly believed that being a 3rd wife would be the easiest position because the family would have already worked through all of their issues regarding jealousy and sharing. But the problem is, and I'm guessing based on this that Christine didn't know, the jealousy and sharing was just one of many issues. These people did not know how to communicate with each other. They didn't get along. There were some sneaky aspects. Mary has let us know that she resented Janelle and Cody, well, more so Janelle, for wanting to get married on her birthday. Like, there were already plenty of issues before she came. Mary's inability to get pregnant, like, there were a lot of things. So for her to not be told some of that, but I had no understanding of how much work would be left to do. Right after my first child, Aspen, was born, I got a phone call from an old friend back in Utah. Christine, she said, "Where are you right now?" I didn't understand her question. I told her that I was in Powell, Wyoming, where I lived. "I know where you are physically," she said, "but where are you emotionally? You seem lost. You don't seem like yourself. What's changed?" I told her I no longer felt good or worthy. I felt insecure in my marriage, which was about the worst feeling in the world. This I don't remember. I don't remember them telling this in the show. I remember Christine saying that they had some difficult times, but she never was jealous or insecure in her marriage until Robin came along. Y'all correct me down below if I'm incorrect, but here she's saying that she felt insecure as early on as her marriage as Logan arriving and her being pregnant. So I'm like, okay, Christine, this is new info. "You're still the same girl you've always been, my friend," she said. "And that's the reason Cody married you. Cody loves you for you. Don't change, don't mope, and don't try to be anyone different." For some reason, her words really resonated with me. I was a wife and a mother, and I knew I could be happy if I wanted. I'd lost my identity only because I let it happen. I couldn't be me and be happy if I chose. I know this sounds overly simplistic, but all I needed was for someone to remind me that it was up to me to reclaim my sense of self. I needed to pick I needed a kick in the pants. After all, I was the one who committed to the plural lifestyle. I was the one who had wanted sister wives more than I ever wanted a husband. It wasn't up to me to enjoy it. It was, I said wasn't, it was up to me and enjoy it and make it work. Once I became more relaxed, I began to understand my place in the family. I started becoming an active and important force in negotiating a truce and soothing a lot of hurt. Mary and Janelle didn't have a relationship at all, but I had started to develop a fun sort of camaraderie with Mary. Interesting that Mary and Janelle didn't have a relationship when initially we were told that they were friends, but in the book we were told that they were cordial and that was her sister-in-law. How did they not have any relationship just because of this marriage? Sounds like they never had one. In addition to this, I was able to talk to Janelle about her interests and concerns. I'd always idolized the nature of sister wives. I expected that they would have been my best friends. After that first troubling year, I realized that friendships aren't instantaneous. If you want something, and if you want someone to be your best friend, you have to work on the relationship. Over time, I was able to forge close relationships with Mary and Janelle. Mary became my best friend. Janelle and I grew extremely close, but since she's much more reserved than either me or Mary, our friendship is slightly less dynamic and more practical, which doesn't mean I love her any less than I do my other sister wives. After Aspen was born, I started to benefit from the sister wife experience as I'd always hoped for. Aspen was the first girl and a true delight. She helped restore my sense of happiness and joy. I was a mother and a wife, equally important as my sister wives. Once I'd given birth, I began to lose a tremendous amount of weight. I guess my puppy fat was all ready to melt off me with pregnancy pounds. Although I have to admit, I'm the cutest pregnant woman in the world. One day after I slimmed down, Cody, Janelle, and I were out shopping. We were in a clothing store where everything was far out of our price range. Money was really tight then. It often is in our family. We may have been married and had kids, but we were as financially secure as a group of teenagers. I was looking around the store and I found this white fringe outfit that I just had to try on. When I came out of the dressing room, Janelle said, "Christine, you have to buy that." I protested that it was too expensive. The outfit cost $100, which was more than any of us have ever spent on anything besides rent in our lives. It was ridiculous, but I thought I looked pretty cute in it, and Janelle and Cody clearly agreed. "I don't care," Cody said. "I'm buying that for you." Moments like this, away from the duties of a family life, proved to me the possibility of a fun and tranquil plural family was indeed within our reach. We had been moving around a lot since I came into the family. I had my own place for a while, as did Janelle, but for financial reasons, right after Aspen was born, we all moved back into one house. Shortly after this, Mary gave birth to her daughter, Mariah. Do not forget, I do not mean any disrespect, but for the purposes of the reading, I'm going to be calling Leon by their given name at birth, okay? The house was cramped with 4 adults and 3 children in diapers. Cody was miserable at work. While we tried our best to work on all our relationships with one another and learn how to raise our children, our close living situation made tempers rise. Cody decided we needed a change. We needed to get out of Powell, so we moved from a 1,000 square foot house in Wyoming to a 3,000 square foot house in Utah. This house was a major change for us. We had both a kitchen and a kitchenette. This meant that Janelle no longer had to share a kitchen with Mary and me, something that had always been a source of strife among the 3 of us. When we got to Utah and settled into our new, larger house, we were able to relax a little. We had quite literally more breathing room. Since our daughters were born only a few months apart, the relationship between Mary and me began to deepen. Janelle was able to get her career, which had floundered a little in the tiny town of Powell, back on track. This made her unbelievably happy. I had a part-time job, which brought a little essential money, but most of all, I was a stay-at-home mom. Mary and I shared a lot of common interests such as cooking and crafts. Since we like to cook the same sort of food, we worked well in the kitchen together. We also love planning family outings and holidays. Now, I did not know that Christine and Mary worked well in the kitchen together. So the major problem was Janelle and her not wanting to clean her dishes until the next morning. Got it. We often arrange family excursions so we'd have the opportunity to take tons of photos of the kid in different locations. Yes, as the kid in different locations. We spent a lot of time sewing our children matching outfits around Christmas time. We dressed up the kids and piled them into the car and drive them to the photo studio for our holiday pictures. This was always a chaotic adventure, but well worth it. Our holiday preparations, especially for Christmas and Thanksgiving, were intense. We would start planning months in advance. We organized meals, decorations, activities, gifts, outfits, and surprises for everyone in the family. Once we moved to Utah, things began to look up. We were happy parenting and working. So this is yet a third wife talking about how the move to Utah was beneficial for the family. It was during this period that Cody and I began to discover each other. Now that things had settled down, we had the space and the freedom to get to know each other in a deeper and more spiritual sense. We were also able to start having fun, something that was essentially missing during the first year and a half of our marriage. We loved spending time with Aspen. We marveled over how special she was to us. We spent hours playing with her, guessing at the challenges we'd face as parents. We often discussed all the kids we wanted to have together. We got to know each other by sharing dreams we had for our children's futures. Talking about the family we wanted really cemented our bond and made us remember the love that was the foundation of our marriage. So here you have Christine saying that love was the foundation of their marriage, where recently in the tell-all, the one-on-one, Cody said that he never loved the other wives. A year after we returned to Utah, both Janelle and I had our second children, Madison and McKelty. Suddenly, there were 5 kids in diapers in one house. You would have thought that the chaos would have been too much for us, but the joy of our growing family trumped any domestic issues. What really brought us together and made us more functional is that not long after we moved to Utah, Cody finally found a job he enjoyed. Cody's new position required him to attend trade shows, one of which was in Navajo, Illinois. This trip, or is it not Nauvoo? This trip would require him to be on the road for 2 weeks, towing his trailer with his materials and displays. Both Mary and Janelle had been on trips with Cody, but I'd never had the opportunity. When Cody asked me to go, I was over the moon. He could have taken anyone, and he took me. I suddenly felt special again. This trip was a huge turning point in our relationship. It was the first time we had spent so much time alone together, just us and our daughters, Aspen and McKelty. In many ways, the trip was a disaster. The car overheated. We had to keep the kids cool by feeding them ice chips. We broke down numerous times, but these hardships only brought Cody and me closer together. What is up with these people in road trips and the cars breaking down? Seriously, like we saw it happen when they were moving. We saw it happen when they were going on a trip. Like they always have car issues. No matter how difficult things became, I was prepared to sing songs of joy the entire way. I loved every minute of the adventure at Cody's side. Although our drive was similar to pulling a hand cart through the desert, I couldn't wipe the smile from my face. I think Cody really dug my positive attitude. Every time I glanced at him, he looked so cute and so sweet. Instead of suffering in the heat, he was beaming. I had loved Cody since before we were married. I suspected that he had been falling in love with me for years. But on that trip is when Cody finally irrefutably decided that he would step in front of a train for me, which is what he told me when we returned home. The trip was our true honeymoon experience, because y'all remember her honeymoon was trash. Cody didn't even plan one. We had come so far since our official honeymoon when I worried that I married too quickly to seemingly distant man I loved but didn't really know. Now I was certain that we were soulmates. At the end of the trip, we returned to each other and said, I know that I can trust you to be an amazing and incredible person for the rest of our lives together. So they weren't safe, but they could say that they trusted each other. Okay, Cody. Remember, he said his wives weren't a safe space for him. He didn't feel that till Robin. I know that I'll always be there for you and do everything possible to make things better for you. This was our commitment to each other. We both knew then that if and when disaster should strike, we would hold each other and look into each other's eyes and tell each other that we are glad for every second we spent together. For many years, I felt that our lives were perfect. I loved being part of the family. I loved homeschooling some of the kids and taking care of the household. I received all the benefits that I expected from a plural marriage. My other mothers had provided so much for me when I was growing up that the prospect of raising many kids together was precisely what I had in mind when I accepted the principle. For more than a decade, I had two best friends with whom I had the pleasure of rearing a wonderful household of children. In many ways, I feel that I kept the household running by taking care of so many of the practical affairs. For years, I enjoyed this position. I loved being the primary stay-at-home mom. I cooked and cleaned. I had a garden and I canned. Since both Mary and Janelle worked, if Cody had a problem, something that needed to be done or fixed, I took care of it. I prided myself in being there for everyone all the time. Cody liked that she overextended herself. And when she stopped, this was a problem. I tried to make sure that all the holidays and birthdays were special. Whenever we had family functions, my house had to be the perfect. The food had to be perfect. I needed to create the ideal environment for what I believe is our perfect family. While I was doing all of this, I began to teach at our church school part-time. Then I joined the board of the Sunday school and taught a Sunday school class. I also became an academic advisor. The church and the home are the most important places in our lives, and I needed them to be perfect too. Then one day I realized I was overwhelmed, too stressed out by all that I had taken on. I hadn't noticed, but for a while I had been unable to give 100% to anything I did. Unintentionally, I started letting everything slip. Around this time, Cody and I decided to have another baby. I realized that I couldn't stop holding everything together, do the one thing I always wanted to do and be the best mom possible. My kids are the most important thing in my life, and I know that I'd never be comfortable if I wasn't completely there for them. The fact that she was feeling overwhelmed by all these things and she wasn't giving 100% of herself, yet Cody didn't even notice this, didn't think about all the things that she did, and said that he wanted to have another child with her. And knowing that she equates children with an accomplishment of growing their family, but also being desired by her husband, kind of makes me wonder if that had something to do with it, or if this is something that she really wanted. During my pregnancy, I decided to give up all non-maternal duties. I stopped teaching. I told my family I was very stressed out and I needed to take some time off from everything but being a mom. For nearly 15 years, I devoted myself single-mindedly to preserving everyone else's happiness. But now I needed to restore mine. There was another factor that led to this drastic reconfiguration of my place in the household. About a year before I came pregnant with Truly, I had a devastating argument with Mary. For a while, I've been feeling that she was too tough on my kids. While I understand that all children need discipline, I often felt that she went way too far when it came to my children. It seemed to me that she was taking out her frustrations on my kids in particular. As a result, many of them were wary of her and afraid to cross her accidentally. I wish they went into more detail about this. Because was she verbally assaulting them? Was it both verbal and physical? Let's keep reading. I let the situation go on too long and I let my emotions well up. Instead of talking to Mary calmly, explaining what I have observed her doing and how she might fix her behavior, I exploded. I yelled and screamed at her and told her to stop talking to my kids and stop interfering with their lives. Since I'm afraid of confrontation, I always allow stuff to build up till it's too late. So instead of trying to work it out with Mary, I just shut her out. This argument shattered my world and made me realize that I have always had superficial relationships with people. I always tried to ignore problems by putting on a brave face and by keeping people at a distance. This fight made me realize that I never honestly opened up to Mary and Janelle, but had forged our relationship out of a need to cement the sister-wife ideal I'd envisioned. After our fight, Mary and I stayed out of each other's way. We no longer sought out each other's company to watch movies or just hang out. Okay, so she's still not saying what exactly happened. Now, the older kids like McKelty and Peyton and Gwen allude to some form of abuse. Based on what is being said, I'm thinking that it was verbal. Not that it excuses it, but that's what I'm thinking it is. If you all know more, put it down below. When circumstances brought us together, we were never openly rude or hostile. We maintained a level of cordiality, but the warmth was gone. To this day, we are still working on becoming closer again. No, y'all not. Y'all need to talk. It has been a slow process of starting to feel comfortable being open and honest with each other. We have had to learn how to immediately tell one another if we feel offended by something. We still do not have the wonderfully close relationship we used to share. I know we will continue working on it though. Okay, so Mary told us that she never experienced a close relationship that sister wife experience until Robin came along. But here we have Christine saying, and even Janelle said that Christine and Mary were closer than her and Christine back in the day. So because things went wrong with her and Christine, Mary had that void there and Mary was trying to fill it in. Hence comes the bird, where we have here Christine saying like, look, we were close, things got messed up, and as a result, our friendship never recovered. My relationship with Mary is very important to me. I'm certain she feels the same way about me. After my fight with Mary, I realized that only people I'd ever let in were my mother and Cody. My mother broke my heart by divorcing my father and leaving our faith. About a year after the argument, we met Robin, and even though I welcomed her into the family, it shook my foundation and left me unsure of whether I could trust Cody's commitment to our marriage. The four of us, Mary, Janelle, Cody, and I, had been a nearly perfect unit for almost 16 years of near absolute bliss. Over that time, there had been minor discussions of potential courtships, but nothing never came of it. I don't know how Christine could say that they were nearly perfect when we know that Janelle left Cody several times during that period, but okay, if y'all were nearly perfect. I had grown used to being the last wife. I loved being the last wife. Cody and I had a tremendous relationship. He was my best friend and my closest confidant. Since Mary, Janelle, and I all served entirely unique functions in Cody's life, I had never had cause to be jealous of his relationships with my sister wives, even though we know she was jealous of now Logan. My fights with them never had anything to do with Cody. Oh, okay. I knew that Cody's relationship with both of them were great. And I knew that what I brought to him and to the family was different from any other wife. I was entirely secure, at peace regarding my marriage and my importance in Cody's world. Jealousy had simply never been a part of my life. Okay, you just said you were jealous. That's the stuff I'm talking about where sometimes they contradict themselves. But when a fourth woman entered the picture, this changed. Growing up polygamous, I'd watch other women go through the experience of getting new sister wives. I never understood their jealous reactions. Whenever they complained about the domestic upheaval caused by a new wife, I wanted to tell them it's all a part of the principle. You're just being a baby. Or feeling jealous is a choice. You're choosing to be jealous. Get over yourself. I should have listened to my own counsel. I didn't understand how hard it could be. I really feel that I owe Robin an apology. You do not owe Robin an apology. And the fact that your religion makes you feel this way is part of what I struggle with in terms of it. In many ways, I betrayed her. Before she and Cody were courting, I was really enthusiastic about her and I wanted her to love our family and to love me. I went out of my way to show her our best side, but this has nothing to do with Robin because Christine always let us know that she always presented her best self. Remember, she's the one that wanted everything to be perfect, which is part of the reason why for so long she tried to show perfection in her marriage. The first time Robin came over to our house, I made sure we had a big meal ready. I put as much effort as I could into welcoming Robin with open arms. We've had such wonderful family, and I wanted to ensure her that she had no choice but to fall for all of us. However, when she and Cody courted and married, I was no longer the sweet person Robin first met. The loving sister wife I potentially promised her disappeared. Of course it disappeared because you saw that she was getting something that you never received from your husband. I feel guilty for offering something to Robin I couldn't provide. I felt as if I lied to her. If I did, it was through no fault of Robin's, but entirely due to my own problems. I feel blessed knowing that Robin is generous enough to forgive me. I don't think Robin ever forgave you, because now we hear things like the family is bullies and stuff of that nature. Christine, please understand that when Cody says these things, you're included in that number. Cody and Robin's courtship came at a time of huge personal upheaval. I was pregnant with Truly, and we had also entered the new and uncharted territory as we began filming for Sister Wives for TLC. When Cody started courting and then married Robin, it really rocked me. I gave birth to Truly and was suffering from extreme postpartum depression. I never thought I'd feel such a sense of loss, such crippling jealousy. I thought I was better and stronger than that. I really did. The strangest thing is that I had a stronger testimony that Robin should be a part of our family than I ever did about whether I should marry Cody myself. I really don't understand this testimony stuff. And I'm not going to go down that road because I don't understand it. I was certain beyond a shadow of a doubt that marrying Robin was the right thing to do. I recognized immediately what an awesome, special, and wonderful person she was. Keyword was. She belonged in our lives. I knew that she and Cody deserved each other. They do. And this is what made it so hard. Despite my testimony that Cody courting Robin was the right thing to do, I could not curtail my own insecurities that Cody was abandoning me for someone else. The undeniable fact about our lifestyle is that no matter how strongly committed to it you are and how much you long for Sister Wives, it's difficult to keep your petty jealousies in check. It was apparent that Cody and Robin shared a destiny, but I couldn't help but feel that this might marginalize my place in Cody's life. If Robin had been a lesser woman, not as emotionally and spiritually intelligent, not as strong or as generous, what was she generous with? She didn't have anything to give y'all. I might not have been threatened by her. As ungenerous as it is to say, I could have at least in part disregarded her, but Cody didn't deserve a lesser woman, and I never would have allowed him to marry someone who wasn't as wonderful as Robin. During Robin and Cody's courtship, it was evident to me how wonderful she and Cody were together and how much in love they were. I felt abandoned by my best friend, as if once more I lost my identity. Couldn't see myself as Cody's wife. Instead, I felt inconsequential, as if I'd been pushed to the side. It was a horrible feeling when you let someone in, allow them to become the most important person in your world, and then he replaces you. When this happened, I began to demand more of Cody, which was hard for him. He had started courting Robin, so he had less time to give me, or at least that's what it felt like. Nevertheless, despite my own hurt, I have to hand it to Cody. When it comes to bringing in other wives and making everyone feel safe and secure with the transition, he has done a superb job. That's a different tune than what she spoke in more recent years. During Cody's courtship of marriage to Robin, I felt that I needed more from him than he was giving me. He couldn't love me enough or spend enough time with me. Nothing he did satisfied me. I was so panicked about being neglected, and I wanted more, and more. I nagged and nitpicked. I felt it was his responsibility to do all the heavy lifting in our relationship. I have to admit that during that period, I wasn't a lot of fun to be around. Eventually, Cody had enough. I was venting to him once about some way in which I felt I was being shortchanged. And as he looked at me and said, "I just want my best friend back. I need you. I miss you and I want you back," there were tears in his eyes. When I realized he wasn't saying it to be hurtful, which by the way was totally stupid to think, I began to change and to take advice. I began and to take the advice I had given other women living plural marriage. During the period, I was taking out my own unhappiness and insecurity on Cody. I learned a lot from my kids. Kids being kids, they can whine and complain. They can nitpick and pester me about the smallest, most inconsequential thing. When they test me to the max, I can no longer deal with being around them. So I send them to their rooms. Suddenly, I realized that what my kids were doing to me, I was doing to Cody. I needed to stop harassing him and making demands on him. I had to let myself love him and let him love me. I too wanted my best friend back. I don't think it's wrong to allow someone to tell you your grievances, Maybe she could have not nitpicked, but you should have told him how you were feeling if you're the person who normally suppresses it. It's been a big change for me from being the person people could rely on for holidays and family meals to becoming the dependent one. During my struggles with postpartum depression and my own issues for making room for a new wife, I had to ask my sister wives to take over some of my duties, to organize family meals and trips, take care of the little things during the day. I needed to lean on them while I rebuilt my own inner strength. Mary and I have gone a long way toward repairing our relationship. We have been traveling together, and I believe that we are back on track, but still, I'm hurting. I've been very frank with Mary, Janelle, and Robin and Cody about where I stand emotionally. I let them know what I need from them and what I can and cannot do. I recognize that they are always there for me and everyone is supporting me now. I need their patience and their understanding. I will get through this, but I need time. I am lucky to have a wonderful, supportive husband. As our family has become more settled, Cody has been more available to us as a group, taking on the leadership role in the day-to-day concerns that were once my chosen obligations. In many ways, this is more appropriate. He's made the transition wonderfully, which speaks to the amazing emotional maturity he's achieved over the years. They must have been in a good place when she was writing this book, because she has a lot of nice things to say about him all of a sudden. I think he gets overwhelmed a little quicker than I used to, but he's learned to listen to all of us, to take our needs and problems into consideration, and then to apply them to the overall picture. I'm very happy to take back a back seat while he does this. Although Cody is a stronger man than he's ever been and grows more and more reliable every day, I feel a lack of stability in our relationship. I can only blame myself and my insecurities for this. Good gracious, they blame themselves a lot for the things that Cody does to them because that's what they're taught. They're taught that it's on them. Forget the fact that this man has not prioritized you. Forget the fact that this man is showing someone else love that he's not showing you. Some of what you're feeling is valid. Were you jealous? Yes. Did you have a right to be? I think so, because he wasn't giving that equal love that he's supposed to give. Remember, we're not supposed to see favorites in polygamy. And I do believe that even Christine received unfair treatment because Christine was treated as the favorite, which is part of the reason why the 16 years in the beginning weren't that bad for her. I will get through this only when I've strengthened my relationship with God. This will return my confidence to me. Then all the jealousy will vanish and everything will fall into place. I know that this will happen because our family is incredibly strong. I've seen a lot of polygamous families in my life, and ours is the bomb. My own insecurities pale in comparison to our collective strength. In the long run, I know my struggles are temporary. I have an amazing husband who is my best friend, and I have 3 truly incredible sister wives. Although there have been some rough periods, I never dreamed that it would be this great. Of all the examples of plural families I've seen, ours is truly the best. Wow, how things change. When was this book written? I don't remember when it was written. Because she really, she's over here going up for Cody right now. And this is not the version that we're getting. This is not paperback edition, May 2013. So this was in 10 years ago. 10 years ago, this is what she had to say. Wow. You guys, let me know what you thought about Christine's chapter. I don't think her chapter was as lengthy as, no, it wasn't. I was like, that felt really short. She didn't have a lot to say on her own. I think that Christine spent a lot of time blaming herself for things that I just don't think was her fault. I think that Cody dropped the ball. And whether he likes to admit it or not, that's what happened. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'm on the road to 1,000. I like it happen. I like it happen. I like it to happen sooner than later. Until next time.